And that was something that was really attractive to me, and why I ultimately made the decision to accept that role with the company. It was supposed to be short-term for me. 1 year, pick up as much as I can and bring that knowledge back into the SGA ship.
Yeah. So from starting as, so what did you started as a sales director?
Yep.
And then when did you move up to senior vice president of field operations? I think podcast wise for home office, I think you would definitely need to internalize it. It would be American Income Life centralized, but I could see just getting on top performers like the number one producer.
Yep.
Zooming them in, or it would be cool if I really emphasize in person.
Mm-hmm.
I really push for in person because there's something about the quality when it comes to content of a podcast of in person. You can see when you record everything, like the physical body language and expressions of people, it just brings it up like 10 times.
Yeah.
You know, but I could see that would be really cool. The leaders, like doing like a quarterly, like, you know, award winner or something like that, or quarterly. I think it would be really cool, like, because I thought about this like extensively the other day, and like top SGAs and SGA stories, and bringing SGAs that retired and or people that are retired and or getting renewals. It'd be really good and accessible for the entire company, opposed to like the leadership academies and things we do, which all that information is probably recorded and things like that. We get a bunch of notes, but I could see like, you know, if we got the podcast, it's like, he went out and dropped 50,000 last week. Go listen to this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And here's a 19-year-old like Spencer Coze that did 500, like made 400 grand last year. You know what I mean? Go listen to that. And you know what I mean? And it's like, it's different opposed to, hey, we have the Zoom recording. I don't know what it is with people like psychologically. Like, here's a Zoom recording, but here's a YouTube. You know what I mean? It's like YouTube is where people go to learn nowadays. Like it's YouTube University for sure. You know what I mean? So I think that would be incredible. It'd be a cool setup because I imagine you would probably it would start off with probably like Dave, and I could see Steve, and then it would probably go like, all right, Mike. And then it would be really cool. And then you guys could have different locations as you guys do different trips. Like, you know what I mean? Where you could set up, because you can set up quality podcasts as long as you have a mic and a camera, and it's still pretty quality in different locations. Like, you know, when they do the councils and the executive councils. And do you go to the producer council?
No, executive council.
Okay. So, and that's just the SGA executive.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I think that would be really cool. Yeah.
I agree. We've talked about doing it before, and we have a studio now built in Globe, and we bring a lot of people in, you know, for leadership schools.
Yeah.
Guest speakers are coming in.
Yep.
The fall SGA meeting. We always have people circling, you know, coming through the home office. I think it'd be good.
Well, you could also get individuals outside of like AIL or something like that too, like inspirational, maybe like once or twice a year, because you guys have there's a capital. Like we've got a hold of some of these people, and they want $100,000. You know what I mean? Which it's like, you know, if we got like a group of, I could see even I think some SGAs should just cough up some money. Just, you know what I mean? Like, that'd be good for recruiting. I mean, some of our, you know, competitors do, you know, similar tactics to that, where it's like, let's just spend a couple bucks, and I could see like AIL, if we get like Jocko and like, because we get some great people to come and speak to us. Yeah, you know what I mean? Sure. I'm excited for the convention and the things we have planned coming up. We got the first 90 days, this first quarter. Individuals are able to qualify. They weren't able to. So for you that are, we're doing some company talk right now. So Second chance. So it's top 20 veteran producers and top 20 rookie producers, and then there's a raffle for, is it rookie and vet over 30,000?
And then we're also allowing for MGAs to get back into it too. The leadership,
the MGAs, and that's based off growth. Yes. So that's going to be really cool. So I got Mike Libassi on, everybody, Adversity Kings. Again, we were just rocking out so many episodes. I don't know what episode this is. We're definitely coming up on 30s.
Nice.
Probably in our 30s now.
I think like late 20s.
30s. So cool. Yeah, so we're up to 2 a week now.
Awesome.
Just to keep up with the pace, because we have so many recorded. We wouldn't be releasing them until next year.
Okay.
So we got Mike Libassi, so a veteran with American Income Life, the company that I work with, and got him on to share a story, and really just to get to know him a little more. And pretty, again, guys, just laid back, nonchalant. So Where were you born?
Parma, Ohio. It's right outside of Cleveland.
Okay.
So, yeah, suburb,
Cool.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cool. So, born in Parma, Ohio. How did your parents meet? Do you have siblings?
Yep. So, parents met. Man, that's a great question. I should probably ask them that. But
Okay.
I don't know exactly where they met. I remember where their first date was.
Yeah.
I actually just went there a couple weeks ago to eat dinner. But, parents are both from the Cleveland area.
Yeah.
So they met. I have an older brother.
Mhm.
He's about a year and a half older than me, and his sister is about 6 years younger. So I'm a middle child.
Okay.
So grew up, me and my brother being a year and a half, we were pretty close.
Yeah.
Played a lot of sports together, shared a lot of the same friends.
Yep.
Lost a lot of fights.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
being that he had about a year and a half head start.
Yeah,
on me, but
absolutely.
yeah.
So what did you? So I remember you mentioned earlier that your dad was in a union, sheet metal
Yep.
worker union, right?
Yep.
So how long was he in that forever?
Yeah. So I grew up in a very union family. So my grandparents on my mom's side was a union laborer.
Mm-hmm.
Italian,
Yep.
concrete, right? And then on my dad's side, his father was in sheet metal.
Okay.
So local 33 out of Cleveland. So my father and my uncle got into the sheet metal workers. My dad did it. It was probably his first real job, and he
Yeah.
did it for 34 years until he retired. So, I came up in the union household, typically one income household in our family.
Yep.
More old school. Now it's usually two
Mom would stay at
incomes.
home then?
Mom would stay at home until we got, high school age, I would say, my sister maybe, and then she started working as well.
Yep.
But for the most part, what we remember is one income household. So
Yep.
yeah, blue collar background. But yeah, grew up in that union family. So when one of the things that attracted me about American Income was our connections with unions and the blue collar working class, because that's really all I knew.
Yep.
I had other financial services company approach me, and it's like you're approaching white collar people at the time, and I just really wasn't comfortable with that. That wasn't my background. That wasn't who I really wanted to serve. So that's one of the things that really attracted me about our company.
Yep. So, and then with growing up, what was growing up for you like? I know you talked a little bit about it today, but just in general, you know what I mean? Like when you think back to like grade school and going up to middle school and high school, what was that all like for you?
I had a good childhood. I had really good parents. Again, one income household,
Mm-hmm.
middle class. We didn't have everything we wanted, but we had everything we needed.
Yeah.
Right. I probably brought adversity on myself growing up. Obviously at that point, it's like you play sports and you do school.
Yep.
Right. That's pretty much your childhood.
Yeah.
I didn't do school that well. So
Yeah.
I just wasn't a good student. Didn't have a lot of interest in school. Didn't really pay attention. Didn't put a lot of effort towards it. So that was really the part of my childhood that I would say was the adversity piece.
Yeah.
Was I was grounded a lot because my parents wanted what's best for me, which
Yep.
is to get good grades. Society tells you good grades equals good career,
Yep.
right? Bad grades equals bad career. Right?
Yeah.
We know that's not true
Necessarily true,
technically
yeah.
when you peel back the layers, but especially back then and without all of the information aids that we live in now, you just kind of figured out you believe what you heard, right? And it was good grades equals good career. So for my childhood, that was probably the most challenging part. I didn't excel at school, didn't like school. And when society tells you that, hey, if you don't get good grades, you will not be successful, what happens is you begin to believe that and almost reinforce that, in your daily life and almost accept it.
Yeah.
So, that's something that I dealt with growing up.
Yep.
And throughout high school, even throughout college. Went to college because it's what my parents wanted for me. And,
Yeah.
My dad busted his butt, parents busted their butts so to provide a better life for us.
Yeah.
But then coming out of school, I really didn't know what I was going to do, what was going to be my path. Could I be successful? I was just hoping to find maybe, $40,000 to $50,000 a year position and just, find a company that I was loyal with and maybe grow 3% income every single year. So that was my plan back then before I met American Income.
So what sports did you play growing up?
So I played football, basketball, baseball, and winter sports. I did a lot of skiing.
Yep.
Enjoyed a lot. And then as I got older in life, I did a lot of running.
Yep. So was there a sport that you kind of lean towards, or was it kind of like cross country as you got older?
Never did any cross country for the school. We used to call them run for fun.
Yeah.
I just ran just because that was how I trained for sports. Football was probably my most passionate sport.
What position did you play?
Corner
Corner?
and wing back. Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool. And then what high school did you go to?
Holy Name
Holy Name
High School.
So was this like a private academy, like a Catholic school?
Catholic school.
Were there nuns?
No nuns.
No nuns growing up?
A little bit past the nun stage with the rulers and stuff.
I had some nuns.
Did you?
Yeah,
okay.
I had some
with
nuns.
rulers?
Yeah, rulers,
Whoa.
the whole nine.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
Yep. Yeah, I had some nuns.
That.
I went to a school in for a year in Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania, like out in the country. And there were some nuns there, Catholic school.
Wow.
It was a Montessori Catholic school too.
Okay.
So it was like interactive. Montessori, you have to like teach yourself. I guess, I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
Horrible setup for me. Yeah. Horrible. Crazy setup. So high school and then going into college. So what college you end up going to?
Kent State University.
Yeah, my buddy graduated. I remember Kent State. Yeah, my buddy got a finance degree. I want to say master's finance degree from Kent State.
Good. Yeah, it's a good school. I mean, let's be honest. It was one of the few who would accepted what my GPA was at the time, which was limited.
I feel like Kent State's a really good school.
You know, they have some good programs, right?
Yeah.
But back then, I don't know if it's different now. It was pretty much open enrollment.
When did you go to college? Late?
So 2000,
mid-2000s?
2007.
Okay.
Went to college.
I was gonna say like later, like the decade of 2000.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, I guess when was I don't know. You know, the subject. I don't even know if I should bring it up. But like that Kent State, was there like memorials from the tragedy that happened there? And didn't Saban go there?
Nick Saban went there. Yeah. He's one of the famed alumni.
I wonder if he went to school around that time. Was that 70s?
71, I think. 1970, I think it was.
And that was in correspondence with like the rebellion from
Vietnam War. Yep. Yeah, 4 students were shot and killed. Most of them were not even protesting. It was just
like bystanders.
Innocent bystanders.
Yeah.
So it's a big part of their history. You go there, you learn about it, and it
was like one of the first like major was that like one of the first major?
Major event.
Yeah, maybe not one of the first, but crazy. A lot of history there.
It shows what happens when you have people who are not well trained at something, expect them to do well. So you got a bunch of young National Guard kids. People start throwing bottles at them, and they start shooting.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know it was young National Guard kids.
Yeah,
that's
they brought
nuts.
National Guard, young, high school age, right? And pressure chamber.
Yeah.
And they folded and started.
I never know why we don't just use. I mean, it probably sounds so stupid. Why don't we just use like rubber bullets? It's got to be really dumb though, because maybe the bad guys say
Yeah, real ones, right? Yeah. I don't think they had that technology back then.
Yeah,
either, so.
No, that's true. That's true. So college, what did you end up going to school for?
Marketing. So business marketing. Yep. And then I ended up with a minor in psychology.
Okay.
So one of the things that
were you interested in both of those things, or was it just like this makes sense?
Business. I just figured.
Yeah.
I should probably go into business. It was actually really funny. It was between 2 things for me going into college. It was herpetology, which is the study of reptiles.
Okay.
I was big into reptiles.
Did you have any?
Steve Irwin.
I love Steve Irwin.
I had a ball python.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was one of those things where I started to figure out that hey, if I'm interested in something, my mind is like a magnet.
One of my guys has a venomous snake.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
What kind?
It's this blue one.
Blue.
It's bright blue too.
Pit viper probably. Okay.
Something like that. He's got 4 snakes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like he's obsessed with.
You're gonna have to show me. Let me meet him. Back in the day.
He's got reticulated pythons. I'm pretty sure.
Whoa.
So they're already like
those
I think
huge.
they're like 6 or 8 feet already, and they're babies.
Yeah, those will get 15, 18 feet. So I was looking at herpetology. I love snakes. I would know the scientific names of most snakes back then, and then it really came down to it is looking at is this the career path that I really think that I want. I figure out if I go into business, I do have an opportunity to make more money. Even though I really didn't believe in myself enough at that time that I could.
Yep.
I figured, hey, this is probably a better career path. So, and I also didn't like biology.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. So I transitioned. So did marketing. And then I took a psychology class my freshman year. And I was really fascinated with psychology, how the human mind works, what motivates people, how, what makes people react and do the things that they do. So that I really, really fell in love with that subject. So I ended up with a minor in psychology.
Outside of, sports and just growing up, were there anything as you were young that you kind of developed a passion or a hobby for that you really loved, like doing for fun? as you think back?
Man, always playing some type of sports. Winter skiing, absolutely loved it.
So do you still do that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
big time. Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to go?
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Okay.
So when you say that, people give you the look like you're giving me right now. Like
Yeah.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming's got
Yeah.
mountains. Yeah, it does. It's got the Teton Mountain Range. It's not a huge mountain
There
range.
there's got to be some bears out there.
Oh yeah, brown and black bears for
Yeah.
sure. But they're hibernating during the winter. You got to watch out for moose though,
Yeah.
because the moose will chase you down. And
No, they seriously.
oh yeah, they're angry. They don't have big brains and they
Yeah.
don't see well, so they get spooked really easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you come across a moose on mountain, they'll charge you, and you gotta ski.
My ego makes me feel like I could take a moose.
But
But they're like the size of a horse.
So big. You
Yeah.
think they're they're bigger than horses. They're breathtakingly big when you see them in
Oh
person.
Christ.
But Jackson Hole, it's a great town. It's gotten a lot more popular
Yeah.
now, but really mountains.
Do you
very
convince
challenging.
any of the other SGAs or like home office to go skiing too? Is anybody else into it?
Yeah. So I think you're talking to Renee Jeffries soon.
She likes skiing too?
I wouldn't use the word like. You're gonna have to ask her about how
Yeah.
I got her introduced into skiing. But,
Okay.
so yeah, she tried it out. A couple other home office people tried it out. Mike Sheets, who's an executive vice president of Liberty National, her sister company.
Yeah.
He's a big skier, so we would go and invite some people on the company trip every
Yeah.
single year. Yeah, so invited. I don't think any other SGAs have
I
gone.
don't know
I've
if
tried
any,
to-
I can't think of any other SGAs that
I tried to
ski.
set something up with Fred Adaya,
Yeah.
VP of the company. So, but he's thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I ski on a little bit different level than most people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
So I like to also get out of people. Growing up, can you think of? I know you kind of shared a little bit of a story of some adversity you overcame, but like a memory of like just like maybe some trouble you had gotten into, like really big trouble, maybe even outside of, you know what I mean, more of like a fun trouble. Like you look back and you like laugh about it. You're like,
okay.
man,
Yeah.
I wish I wouldn't have pulled my, like as just growing up. Like think of those stories. It's like it's funny. But at the same time, it's like, man, I got into some trouble here.
Yeah, so me and my brother, we were pretty close, right? And
Yeah.
we were, coming up at the same time, teenagers were both getting in trouble, right? So,
Yeah.
two stories that come to mind are, I told you I wasn't a good student. Back then, when you got a bad paper, you'd have to bring it home. Your parents would have to sign it,
Yeah.
and then you'd have to turn it back into the teacher, right?
Yeah.
I had gotten really good at forging my mom's signature.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't get all these bad papers, and then at the end of the semester or whatever, they would get this bad report card. It
Yeah.
didn't add up. So I had forged my mother's signature on a paper. I rushed it, and the teacher caught it. That
Yeah.
was a forged signature. Well, the same day, the teacher, we were 7th and 8th grade, and they taught English for both grades. So the same day, my brother got the answers to the test he was taking
Yeah.
and put it on the. You had to wear ties at school?
No, we don't have to wear ties.
You didn't? Well, if
No.
you know, the square part of your tie
Yeah.
is a great place to put a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
You ever do that, or?
No.
All right, you got to. All right.
Yeah.
well,
No.
Yep. So you put the cheat sheet in there, then you flip your tie over,
Yeah.
okay, and you see all the answers. And if the teacher comes, you just flip it back over. So that's a good spot. The
Yeah.
wrist was a good spot too.
Yep.
So, when I wanted to do good, I would just cheat on the test. So,
Yes.
So my brother did that. So he got caught with the cheat sheet. So the phone rings. My father never answers the phone. Lo and behold, this time he answers the phone.
Yeah.
And it's the teacher, and she says, Mr. Libassi, I'm calling about your sons. And he said, which one? And she said, both. And which one would you like to start with? So on the same day, we got caught for forging a paper and cheating. That was not a fun night in our
Wow.
household. Yeah. So.
That's hilarious.
And then another time, same night, I get caught out, curfew, doing what kids do at like
Yeah.
2 a.m. Police pick me up. They go to book me. They call my mom. My mom picks me up. She is livid.
Yeah.
She goes, well, I got one kid. Now I got to go pick up the other kid who got arrested in this city.
Yeah.
So on the same night, me and my brother got picked up by the police, separate instances. So
That's hilarious.
those are a couple moments growing up in our household.
So from the moments to college to then coming across, obviously our company, what year was that? Was that 2007 also?
2006.
2006?
So junior year, going into the summer, at that point I had no real business background. So everyone's talking about internships. I'm like, I'm going to go check out the Kent State University Career Fair and see what's available. I mean, again, I really had no clue. So I walk into this career fair, and I'm walking around, and you had to wear your last name on a name tag. So Libassi is not a typical last name. So this gentleman, I hear my name, Libassi. I immediately turn my head. That gentleman's Dave Guzman, who's still with our company today. He's a sales director.
Yeah.
And Dave Guzman used to date the owner of the sheet metal company that my dad worked at.
Oh, wow.
His daughter.
Yeah.
So when he was going through college, he was a shop boy. So he would run the sheet metal. He would, get rid of the demo loads, things like that.
Yeah.
And that was actually my job at the time going through college.
Yeah.
Same position he had held. And he had known my father and uncle through that. And so I said, yeah, how do you know Libassi? He goes, do you know John? I go, yeah, that's my dad. He goes, no way. I know your dad. And we connected. So I'm like, tell me about, never heard of the company. So then he starts talking about American Income, union company, working with the middle class. Went home from that career fair like, man, I think I might have found something. Let's check this out. So I went into the North Royalton office for the career overview. I remember driving past a Range Rover, brand new Range Rover at the time, and a guy by the name of Matt Hart, who's one of the top SGAs in our company, ran my group overview. And I remember him talking about, hey, that Range Rover belongs to 25-year-old Marcus Smith. And I'm like, wow, 25-year-old driving a Range Rover, that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
So that was really sale number 2 on the company. And then when I was leaving that overview, I bumped into Mike Vasu. Mike Vasu, Chris Vasu, my brother and I worked at an Italian pizza restaurant in the town we grew up before anyone ever knew of American Income. And so he and I stayed connected. I remember hearing that he was going to, he was always really smart. So I remember hearing he was going to law school. So I bump into him. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm interviewing for a position. What are you doing? I thought you were at law school. He's like, I was, but I turned it down full time. I turned it down because I'm going to do this full time. I'm in management now. And in fact, we just got our bonuses for the month, leadership bonus. Here's my leadership bonus.
Yeah.
So he showed it to me. And I remember it was $1,100 and change.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, that's like, I remember once a year, my dad would get a bonus check for Christmas, about $300 once a year. And he showed me a monthly bonus. He's 23 years old.
Yeah.
For $1,100. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm in. And I remember calling Dave Guzman when I left, and I said, hey, I really want the position. How'd I do? He's like, I think you're good. I think you got it.
Yeah.
So that's how I got introduced to American Income, and I came in for my final interview, and Scott Rayberg, who's a retired SGA at the time, said, hey, listen, you can either intern and help me out with stuff around the office, or you could, dive in, get your license, and do everything a sales agent would do. I'm like, yeah, I want to get a license, do everything a sales agent would do. And I'm glad I went down that path, because once I did that, I excelled. The sales side went well. They promoted me into leadership. They actually approached me and said, hey, if you forego your senior year, we'll give you a GA contract, because I was personally recruiting a lot of people at the time, because I'm like, this is an opportunity to make $100,000 a year right out of high school. So a lot of my friends that didn't go to college and were looking for that career, I was bringing in immediately. So they offered me a GA contract. And I'm like, listen, I haven't made my parents happy my entire life with my schooling. I got an opportunity to get this degree, and I'm going to do it for them. So I finished school and then came out full-time in the company when I graduated in 2007.
Wow. Nuts. So you graduate, and then you start with the company full-time.
Yep.
What did that full-time route look like? Just kind of take us, I'm just curious, from now until back then, you know what I mean? What's everything look like from starting, and funny stories?
Yeah,
and
it was
how it all worked out.
If you look back then, if you look at the company now, and a lot of the top people, they were present back then. So you had Mike Vasu, you had Simon.
Yep.
You had Pat Bender, Jameson Weatherspoon, Dan Hartwig. I know I'm forgetting people. Renee Jeffries.
Yep.
Dave Guzman. I can go on and on. Travis Moody. And you had a lot of people back then starting with the company, all kind of in the come up at the same exact time. And it was a lot of fun. We're going through a lot of growth. You know, growth is fun.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just fun to grow. You know, everyone's excited. People are getting promoted. Everyone's income's going up.
Yep.
And we worked hard, right? So we worked 7 days a week. We'd work Sundays. We'd spend about 4 to 5 hours on Sunday booking for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'd come in Monday and finish up our schedule booking. Yep. We'd run the field Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then we come in Fridays for our meetings, and then book Friday for a power day on Saturday. So Saturdays, what starts our week, we'd try to get the lunch club, which is $1,200. You get lunch, and it was a grind. And then when you got into leadership, it was 8 to noon recruiting activities, lunch, field from basically 1 till last appointment at 9 p.m.
Yeah. So how quickly did you move up then when you came back full time?
Quickly. Yeah. What I did when I graduated is I strategically at this point understood the business and understood how powerful personal recruiting is, right? So when I came out of the business, I had several personal recruits ready to go, right, from Kent State University. So, IP Harris, familiar with him, partner SGA. Yeah. Dan Walton, longtime MGA, RGA with Stray Smith, Bender Hartwig, and several more personally recruited right out of school. Yep. So I hit the ground running. I was an SA right upon graduation. Took about 2 months to get to GA, and a month after I was #1 GA in the company. Wow. Because it was all PRs.
Yep. And then from being the #1 GA, where did that lead to next?
So it was great. I had October, I was #1 GA. November, I had a really good month. December, I had a really good month. I cracked top 10 GA for the year in 6 months. Yeah. And I went on my first weekend, any time off. I mean, I was 7 days straight from the day I graduated to this day in January. I took a couple days off to visit my brother in Colorado and do a little bit of skiing. So I remember I'm on the lift and Marcus calls me, right? When Marcus calls, you answer, right? So I answered, and he's screaming into the phone. He says, "Get excited, baby. You're moving to Toledo, Ohio." I said, "Okay, why? What's going on?" He said, "We're making a promotion. Travis Moody's going to be an SGA, and we want you to take over the office." Yeah. And I'm like, "Okay, great." He goes, "But most people are going with Travis, and you get to bring one person with you." So I go, "All right, great. When do I leave?" He goes, "When do you get back?" I go, "I get back Sunday night." He goes, "Great. I need you in Toledo on Monday morning." So literally most of the office, and they really blessed Travis. They allowed most of the office to go with him. Yeah. The last couple people, didn't really like the change, so they really kind of fell off. So I got to bring one person, IP Harris, to that agency, and basically start all over again. So my reward for becoming top GA in the company was, hey, congratulations, go out in Toledo, Ohio, and do it all over again.
I feel like that's how success is, dude. Yeah. I feel like every year that I've had a promotion, it's like, start over. Yep.
But what you got to understand, you're not starting over. Yes. Right? Because you now understand what it takes. And I'll never forget, I stopped in the office early that Monday before I drove to Toledo, and I sat down with Marcus. I had my notepad ready to go. And I said, "Hey, can you walk me through everything that an MGA needs to do to be successful?" And he looked back. He said, "Just keep doing what you're doing." Yeah. I said, "Okay." Went to Toledo, Ohio. Personally recruited a bunch of people. We went from basically a broken down office at that time to top 10 MGA in the company from scratch that year, over $1 million in ALP. And it was all based around really personal recruiting. Yeah. We were lucky to get into college, Toledo. They have a sales school there. Yeah. And get into couple graduates. We made sure they did really well, and then that opened up a lot of doors for us to work with a lot of the Toledo sales school grads.
And then from MGA, so how long were you an MGA until you were SGA?
So I was an MGA for a year, then I became an RGA, and I was an RGA for 9 or 10 months. Yeah. And, it was really one of those things. I was young at the time.
Who'd you promote to MGA?
Danielle Jankowski. She's a regional sales director at the company. Yep. Very strong. And so my goal was, I wanted to be like Jim and Marcus, right? Yep. And I'm thinking, doing this out here in Toledo, Ohio, what if I could just, grab another location and just do it for myself as an SGA? So at the age of 23, I answered the call to become an SGA.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so it was quick.
And then, so where did you start then?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
And who was the CEO at the time?
CEO was Roger Smith.
Roger Smith. And then who was the president and vice president?
Scott Smith, president. Vice president was Rob Falvo.
I just met Roger. Is Rob Falvo, is he still?
No, he transitioned out once around the same time. He actually a little before Roger retired.
Okay. And so SGA and then into home office, how long were you in SGA then?
For a little bit over 4 years.
So how were the 4 years of being an SGA?
It was really good. I learned a ton. There's a couple things that I learned being in new SGA that I took for granted with a bigger agency. And I didn't see this coming, but when you're in a bigger agency, what you have going for you is culture.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And, culture can help create a lot of momentum.
Yep.
Right? And you can plug, we talked today about ordinary people, extraordinary results.
Yeah.
You can plug ordinary people into an extraordinary culture and get better results out of them, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I took that for granted and really went kind of solo as an SGA and noticed real quick that, hey, my same training, phone training, my same sales training, same playbook, I just renamed it Libassi Agency, is yielding about half the results as typical as it would with them.
Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest mistakes that I made at that time was trying to do everything on my own and not having that kind of that bridge or that mentorship.
So people should try to stick together.
Bigger SGA, yeah, for sure.
Because I'll get people in the office that are like, I want to go run an office down, like not even the SGA ship, just like go start a satellite. And I'm like, and this past year I just let people go. Yeah. And I get a call a month later. How's it going? Doing all right. How you doing down there? Glad you asked. Was wondering if it was okay if I could come back. Yeah. Everything all right? Well, it's not everything I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Everyone
it
wants
never responsibility, right? Until
they
realize what it entails. And today in the Zoom world, I mean, we're so connected. It's so much different, right? But back then, you were on an island.
Oh, you're on an island for sure. Paper, you guys had to navigate with the GPS and hold your fingers in the wind.
For sure. But at least when I was in Tristan, every single week that leaderboard came out, and like our guys were in 5,000-6,000 trying to keep up and catch up with everyone else, and that stuff is just so valuable. So. What I would recommend is maybe incubate. I should have incubated a little bit longer under their tutelage. Yeah. And then also trying to stay connected. Any type of mentorship opportunity. Yes. With a larger SGA connect. You got to be able to merge your culture to someone else's. Yeah. Because as a new SGA, you just don't have it.
Like latch on, almost kind of like a parasite. Yep. Latch on, suck it up, get bigger.
You got to draft off them. Yep. Until you can create your own culture. Nowadays, another thing is personal recruiting. We talked about it back then, but it wasn't like there wasn't a spotlight on as much. It was kind of like a recruit to recruit. And I look back now, and those are the things that got me so quickly off the ground in Cleveland and Toledo. And we did personal recruit in Indy and always had,
Who was the Indy, like the OG Indy SGA?
A guy by the name of Mark Hancock.
So who did he come out of?
His father's agency. Yeah, so Mark was there for several years.
Okay.
He retired like $60,000 a month in renewals.
Yep.
Fortunately, he had a really rare type of cancer. Without his renewals, he wouldn't have had a chance, but survived several years because he was able to, had the resources to go down to Houston and get the treatments and things like that. But really good guy, very welcoming when I came into the territory. Yep. Gave me some really good advice. Always have a good assistant and a good accountant in the business. So that was huge advice for me. But we always had very strong growth in the territory. There was always something kind of missing for me at that time. It was like that extra mentorship. I just sought it out. And that's when I was approached with the position at home office. I said, you know what, man, it's an opportunity for me to travel the country for a year and really rub shoulders with all the SGAs. Yeah. Kind of like what Duran Oldham did years ago. I don't know if you know his story at all.
Bits and pieces.
He was a top MGA, and the company approached him and said, hey, we want you to be a sales director. They never had sales directors. And Duran goes, you know what? You're going to pay me? They go, yep, we'll pay you for a year. He said, great, I'll do it. So he went around for a year and basically taught people how to grow their agency. But at the same time, he was putting together his playbook to be an SGA. Yeah. And best practices, things what to do, what not to do. You're able to see on a large scale what works, what doesn't work. What are the mistakes agency owners are making, what are they not making, and that was something that was really attractive to me, and why I ultimately made the decision to accept that role with the company. It was supposed to be short term for me, 1 year, pick up as much as I can and bring that knowledge back into the SGA ship.
Yeah. So from starting as, so what did you started as a sales director?
Yep.
And then when did you move up to senior vice president of field operations?
So started as laptop sales director, and what ended up happening is I really fell in love with the role. Did really good at that. Shortly after they had me run that team, so I was basically in charge of all the laptop sales, and fell in love with the role. And just I love being able to make an impact. A lot of the SGAs are my friends.
Yep.
I've come up with the business with a lot of them. Be able to go in an SGA's office and tweak a couple things, right, and take their sales up 20% to me was really fulfilling. Absolutely love what I do, the relationships, the influence I could have. And then I was approached by a gentleman by the name of Bo Gentile.
Yep.
You know Bo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Bo at the time was vice president of recruiting for American Income. And he said, hey, I need someone to do director of recruiting for American Income and then help out our company, Liberty National.
Yeah.
At the time, Roger Smith was doing such a good job with our company that Globe, grabbed them and said, hey, can you help, fix, rebuild Liberty National?
Yeah.
Because if you're familiar, Liberty National is who created Globe.
No.
So Liberty National was founded in 1900.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this. They were founded in 1900 in Alabama. And by the 1970s, this is crazy, 3 out of 4 households in Alabama had a policy with Liberty National.
Wow.
When you think about Aflac's market penetration in their home state, I think it's like 13%.
Yeah.
and Liberty had a policy in 75% of the households.
That's insane.
In Alabama, they were cash rich.
Yep.
And at the time, a lot of Chinese companies were coming around buying up insurance companies. They didn't want to be bought. So they said, well, why don't we create our own holdings company, and we'll buy companies, right?
Yeah.
So that's where they created at the time Torchmark. Obviously now we know it as Globe through the rebranding process. So actually they created Torchmark, Liberty National.
Wow. They
ran into some issues. They had some cancer policies that once cancer became a lot more prevalent in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
The underwriting margins on it became way too thin. We had to make some adjustments there. They hit some obstacles in the course of a 15-year time, 20-year time. So that's where they wanted to bring in Roger to help them rebuild that company back to its prior greatness. So,
wow.
So Bo approached me and said, hey, will you help out with both these companies, director of recruiting? I see what you're doing on the sales side. I really want you to do this, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we know our business is like a Swiss Army knife, right?
Yeah.
It's recruit to grow, train to retain, and develop leaders, right? So, okay, I've trained to retain, done it company-wide, got the influence there. Now it's time to really sharpen my sword on recruiting to grow.
Yeah.
So I can really be more well polished as a leadership role in the company.
Yeah.
So I dove down that path with Bo for those 2 companies for a couple years. And if you know Bo, working for him, he's the closest thing you're going to get to Simon on the home office side.
Yeah.
He's going to push you, and he's going to expect the absolute best out of you, and absolute best effort, but it brings the best out of you.
Yeah.
So he taught me a lot of things. And at that point, this project started coming up. It was called Impact.
Yep.
And it was something that we were buying from the Alteg organization, and they need someone to roll it out, right? So, my people ask me, like, what tips do you have? How do I move up in a company, right?
Yep.
And my simple advice is this: take what your leader gives you and make it better.
Yep.
Right. So if you can create this brand about yourself of every time someone asks you to do something, you take what they give you and make it better.
Yep.
Right. So if I'm an agent and my job is to give 10 presentations a week, 3 enrollments, collect 30 referrals, right?
Yep.
I want to give 15 presentations a week, 5 enrollments, collect 50 referrals.
Yep.
So take what they give you and make it better. And I was able to do that at every level of position. So when it came time to pick someone to organize and roll out this entire massive, 9,000 agents switching over from paper to
it was insane.
It was crazy. So he called me and said, hey, man, we need someone that we know can get the job done, that we trust, that can roll this project out. Would you accept it? Would you do it? And I said, absolutely. I mean, I didn't know anything about a CRM at the time. So then all of a sudden I'm buying books on CRM implementations. I'm trying to eat those up, trying to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
And that was my path there. And I will tell you, everything we do now is preparing us for that next level, right? Yeah. So whatever adversity you're going through now in life is always going to make you better moving forward, as long as you don't give up.
Yeah.
Right? And that rollout was so challenging. We had it was shutting down. I don't know if you remember this. You probably do, right? You remember Impact shutting down the new days?
Yep.
So, I mean, imagine getting a call from Marcus Smith, Simon Arias, Eric Giglione, right? And saying, hey, none of my agents can access their leads. What are we doing here? So it was a high pressure rollout. We had to go into an agency. We had to steal everyone's leads.
Yeah.
Right. And we had to produce that week.
Yeah.
So imagine trying to do that. So we had to develop that system where we'd go in, we'd train, send them in the field last night on paper, take their leads the next day, implement Impact that one day, get them in the phones, get them in the field. And literally, we were really proud. About 85% of our rollouts wrote more in the week we were there rolling out the technology, brand new technology.
Wow.
Than what they were averaging as an agency in their trends.
Wow.
So that was even with the challenges. So now I look back in any type of urgent situation or anything that comes up will never get me more flustered or nervous than 9,000 agents not having access to their sales leads.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's just nothing that can get my nerves uncalm at this point.
Yeah.
So that was something at the time. We never enjoy adversity when we're going through it.
Yeah.
But you look back on it and you always appreciate it, because it definitely prepares you for what's next. So
absolutely.
Success in a laptop team, success in the recruiting, success in the Impact rollout. So that's how, when a position became available for the senior vice president, I was lucky enough to Steve Greer, Dave Zoff, and Bo Gentile, Don Bertini agreed that I'd be the best fit for that role. So
now and then obviously the president of field operations, that's Zoffin?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. So from Impact rollout to where you're at now, what's been some things that have occurred that you've accomplished or that have been exciting from then until now?
The Impact was obviously really siloed, right? It was one agency. We need to roll this out. We need to get this done. Here, it's more of a bigger picture, right? Mm-hmm. So, senior vice president of field operations, my job is to grow the company through growing our agent count, right?
So that's been about, 3 years now you've been the SVP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So what I try to do is simplify. Yep. Right? A lot of times I think it's the biggest challenge for leaders.
Yep.
They overcomplicate.
I like the saying you said this morning, the systems.
Yep.
So the ordinary,
Systems
extraordinary.
permit ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results predictably, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and the other one is simplicity is a leader's superpower.
Yes.
So being able to simplify is like one of the biggest things that makes leaders, top CEOs, that next level.
Yeah.
So what I tried to do is simplify, right?
Yep.
So I look at, from the company standpoint, how many weekly set interviews do we need?
Yeah.
How many weekly hires do we need to get the monthly new associates we need?
Yes.
And I look at the same time last year and just make sure that we're up 10% or more.
Yep.
If we're up 10% or more in sets, if we're up 10% or more on hires, then I know codes are going to come out at least 10% more.
Yep.
So that's what I really tried to bring to this role, and what was learned in every single month. We'd have 10% growth, agent count growth, ALP growth followed up until the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So up until the pandemic hit, that's probably been my biggest learning lesson. I saw you got a couple Jim Collins books. Mm-hmm. Good to Great. You read Great by Choice.
Yep.
Great by Choice. So he talks about the 20-mile march.
Yes.
Right. So if you had to wake up tomorrow and you're in San Diego and you got to go to Maine, what top leaders of companies that have 10 times returns over 10 to 20 year period, what they do, and they believe in what's called the 20-mile march, which is I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to march about 20 miles.
Yep.
No matter what the weather conditions are, and then the next day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to march about 20 miles. And the next day, let's say it's really bad weather day, it's raining a lot. I'm still going to get up and do what?
20 miles.
20 miles.
Yep.
And the next day is really cold and snowy. I'm going to march 20 miles.
Yeah, not dictated by circumstance or emotion.
What unsuccessful leaders do is, long term, is they wake up and it's a really sunny day, so they feel good and they go for 40 miles. Then they wake up the next day, they're a little bit tired, they do 10 miles. Then the next day they wake up and it's weather's bad, it's raining, so they stay in their tent the whole day. Then the day after that it's snowing, so they stay in their tent the whole day. And what they do is they fluctuate. And when times are good, they go really hard and burn themselves out. And when times aren't good, they bunker down and don't get the growth. So the person doing the 20-mile march is going to beat every time the person trying to go good on the good days, right? So that's what the pandemic taught me. Man, when unemployment's 12%, right, and so high, we're just rocking and rolling as a company, right? But did we stick to that 20-mile march of consistency as a company, and how do we do that moving forward? Because we had some record years. We're still able to do those things, but you just see, sometimes the numbers fluctuating up and down.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's probably the biggest lesson I learned is how do we temper when times are good, and how do we still excel when maybe times aren't so good. So
Absolutely. What are some of your favorite memories just over your life?
Favorite memories, a lot of them have to do with my times at this company and the things that American Income has provided. Growing up, we do a family vacation every year to Myrtle Beach. Those are always great times. I love my parents. We had everything we wanted, maybe not everything we needed, maybe not everything we wanted. But because of what this company's been able to do for me and my family, it's lifestyle at this point. We get able to travel a lot of time, go to Italy, try to go to Italy every single year.
What part of Italy?
Anywhere that'll have me. So I like all of it. Typically, I try to stop by a wine country if I could. Tuscany, Piedmont, Valpolicella, all those. But Rome, Venice, Florence. There's so many great spots over there. But that's one of my passions is Italy. Just going over there and then being able to do some skiing with some friends trip.
So the memories of traveling Italy and the wine, skiing, anything else, like anything really stick out to you and be like, you think about that moment maybe a few times, maybe even once a week.
I would say, you got some cigars here. I'd say the time that I smoked my first cigar.
With who?
It was New Orleans SGA meeting. And I was brand new SGA at the time, and Simon Arias, Fred Adaya, Steve Greer, Paul Rumbuck were all smoking a cigar, and Steve Freelander. I said, well, if these guys are smoking cigars, I want to pick their brain. I'm going to smoke a cigar. And I remember hanging out with them on the rooftop of the Hilton in New Orleans and smoking a cigar and just soaking up.
What was that, 2011, 2012?
Gosh, I can't even remember now. 2010, I think it was. 2010 or 2011.
So what, Simon was maybe 2 years, 3 years in as an SGA?
Yep.
And you were just about 1 year in?
Brand new, pretty new as an SGA. So I just remember that was a fun time for me. A lot of our SGA meetings created a lot of good memories. A lot of our conventions created a lot of good memories. Most of my good memories as an adult are either with or as a result of American Income Life. So pretty much all of them are like that.
So when did you start getting into wine?
Great question. So, growing up, it's kind of funny because people see you in your current version. And they make the mistake of assuming that's how you always were.
No.
Right? And I try to tell people, like, hey, growing up, if there was a bottle of wine in my house over $10, my dad would have had a heart attack. Like, heart attack. We could have never opened it. So it was mostly like homemade, not good stuff. Right? So, and then throughout college, but again, because of the opportunities that this company has allowed for and, 7.5 years in the business, the renewals that I'm blessed to still receive, able to start going on some nicer vacations, right? So one of the things that I found, really good read, Harvard Business Review. You ever read any of their stuff?
Dude, I got to show you this. So when I started here, I was expelled from high school my sophomore year. And so my education, it wasn't limited due to my inability to learn. It was limited due to my apathy. I could really care less. But I was looking through all the books that I've read, and it's so funny that you say that. Let me see here. Let's see. I was basically adding it up, and there's like I'm like 250 or 300 books in, and I'm coming up on
good for you.
Coming up on 5 years. So over 4 years, you figure that's a good amount of books.
Good for you.
Now this is a new phone, so it doesn't have it registered as completed. But I have like 5 or 6 of these Harvard Business Reviews, and this was when I first started, 18, 19 years old. So like most of these words were like catching me off guard. Like there's
some bigger stuff in there.
Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like there's 7 of these, and they were good. There was good sources of information, and my mind was, even if I read 100 books, and let's say some individuals out there could get 30 to 40%, even if my brain can initially retain 5 to 10%, it's going to be 5 to 10% cumulatively, where they might read 10 books. I'm going to read 200 books, and it'll
eat up more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And then it helps you as a leader, because when you swallow as many books as you do, people come to you for advice.
Yes.
Right? Like, what books? And then as a leader, I can kind of narrow it down and say, and when I'm mentoring someone, hey, I would read this book if I were you.
Oh, man.
And you're able, and there's a lot of value in that as a
so
mentor.
much value.
But I was reading this. So Harvard Business Review, what they do is they put these books together. So HBR and mental toughness, or HBR and leadership. They'll combine in a book as chapters or top articles. I love those. Really good reads. They got one on HBR and mental toughness. It's really good. And one of the things that stuck out to me in this book was top leaders
I wonder if I have that.
Have hobbies.
Yep.
And typically, as you probably would agree, most top people, successful people, don't watch a lot of television.
Yep.
It's a waste, right? I do not watch a lot of television. But what they do if they want to sustain long term is they have hobbies. And it's a way to really kind of disconnect from the business, disconnect from the problems of the business. And statistically, it helps recharge you, and it allows you to not have any type of burnout or even, maybe not if you could push through, but maybe your creativity's gone. Maybe you haven't noticed your attitude slipping. The way you're treating your people is now slipped because you're just constantly in the grind. So you have to find a way to disconnect.
Yeah.
And I think early on in the business, I felt almost bad if I had any other hobbies outside of our company.
It's kind of,
what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
And at the end of the day, if you're in your first 2 years, you should feel bad. You just need to grind it out.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you just need to become an expert at this. But this is 7 years in, 8 years into the company. Had my honeymoon in Italy. And I like to really start researching. So all of a sudden I start looking into wine, start studying stuff. And then you go to the vineyards and you meet these people. They're just farmers. So you're like, wow, these are people like I grew up with, just farmers. You just down to earth people. So I just fell in love with what they do, the industry. And it's just kind of a multifaceted world. So for me, it's a great way to kind of disconnect from the business, recharge, but at the same time, I'm keeping my brain sharp. I'm constantly learning.
Oh my! Well, what's that wine master called? What's it called when you're like a wine connoisseur and like?
So there's a sommelier.
That's where they can smell it and they can tell you every ingredient.
Yeah. So there's sommelier, which I'm working on my certification right now.
No, you're not. You serious?
So you can't. I technically couldn't call myself sommelier, even though I'm really close per the knowledge level, I would say. Because in order to be one, you should work with wine, right? And I don't.
Yes.
So, but I'm pretty close there. And then the next level of that is what's called a master sommelier. So these individuals, there's like 270 in the history of the world.
Wow. In
the history of the world. It's more difficult to get this certification than it is to become a brain surgeon. And these individuals are incredible. I mean, the knowledge they know. I mean, they have to sit for an exam, and basically you get like 7 or 8 wines and they have to blind it. They don't, and say what type of grape is in it. The region it's from.
So can you do any of that?
The vintage, to a point. But nowhere near the level that these guys
at the mat.
So I can.
And because like jiu-jitsu, a black belt's like 10 years. Like a master sommelier, what's that? 40?
There's some of these guys that just eat stuff up. I would say at least 10 years going hard.
At least. I would say at least.
At least. Yeah. Some people just won't even do it because it's same thing as a black belt. You get your ass kicked to get that black belt, right?
Yeah.
It's a ton of studying. The exam's super high pressure.
What's the most unique wine you've ever had? Where you're like, wow, this is an unforgettable experience.
Yeah. Just happened, actually. Yeah, just happened. So I was in Nashville with my wife, and we went out to dinner at this place, and you kind of always looking for that next thing, and it's I'm gonna dork out on you now, but anyways,
I'm
the way you
excited.
make wine is
Yeah.
you take grapes, you crush grapes.
Yep.
Right. If it's a white wine, you don't put it on the skins. You just put it in the fermentation.
So that's the difference between white and a red wine?
Yeah. So red wine, you leave it on the skins. So when you think about it, you take a red grape.
Yep.
And just squeeze it. What happens?
Yeah, it's red.
No,
it's not.
it's clear.
Okay.
Next time you eat a red grape, it's clear juice.
Oh, yeah.
But what happens is if you leave it in contact with the skins, that's where it picks
the pigment
up the color.
from the skin.
Yeah. So
Okay.
they make champagne. You ever have champagne?
Yes.
Okay, so 2 out of the 3 main grapes in champagne are Pinot Noir
Yeah.
and Pinot Meunier. Those are red grapes,
Yeah.
but they're clear.
Yes.
Why? Because they lightly press and don't let it sit in the skin. So you
Okay.
got red wine, the white wine, that's what they do with. They put in a tank. Red wine, they put in a tank with the skins, and they introduce yeast. Yeast eats the sugars in the grapes and converts to alcohol.
Yeah.
Once that process is done, they either straight bottle it or they throw it in a barrel for a little while to get some aging on it, and then they put it in the bottle. Well, there's a type of wine out there called pet nat, which is a natural method where they take it and they start it in the tanks and then they bottle it and finish it in the bottle. And what that does is fermentation creates heat, CO2,
Yep.
and alcohol, right? So it creates that CO2. So it gets this crazy type tasting wine like nothing you've ever had before. Like just like really like brioche, like you're biting into a piece of bread. It's got like bubbles on it. It's just like if you into wine, and you start drinking a decent amount of it and tasting, you're always looking for that really unique thing.
Yeah.
But it's called like pet nat, or the natural method of making wine. It's a pretty cool thing. So instead of just finishing in the barrel in the steel tank and then putting in bottle, they take it about halfway through the fermentation process, bottle it, so you get this whole different taste.
What's the really sweet, clear wine? Starts with an M.
Sweet and clear wine.
Sweet white wine.
Muscadet?
No, really like common. I think it starts with an M.
I don't. Muscadet. So there's a lot of sweet wines.
Really,
There's
really
like
sweet.
up
I mean,
here
this is,
north they do ice wines,
yeah,
which are sweet.
Now, do you like ice or room temperature?
Well, what ice wine means is they leave the grapes until it freezes the first time.
I hope
then
nobody
they pull
else
them.
listening to this knows
No
about
worries.
wine. He's
It's
gonna
all
laugh.
good. It's all good. So they pull them when that happens, and what happens is the freeze concentrates the
Yeah.
sugars. So when they squeeze the wine, it gets this very high sugar wine, which tastes sweet. So that's where it's called ice wine, because they pull it after it ices.
Wine's sitting on its side. You gotta store. Why do you
Yeah.
store it on its side?
Yeah, because the cork's there, right?
Yeah.
So what wine in the bottle will do, if it's a well-made wine with a good cork, it will age forever, for a long time, not forever, a couple decades if it's really good wine. And what the cork allows for is just enough oxygen to get into the wine to keep it alive and lively,
Yeah.
but not too much where it oxygenates and spoils.
Yeah.
So have you ever taken a bite of an apple and leave it on the counter?
Yes.
What happens to it?
Like dries out and
Turns brown.
it's gross.
Gross, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to touch it. Same thing that happens with wine. Oxygen. So you can't introduce a lot of oxygen, otherwise it spoils.
Can all fruit produce wine?
Some can, but at the end of the day, grapes is going to produce good wine.
Do you like anything other than grape wine?
mead? It's, honey can
Okay.
actually be converted, which is not really fruit, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a wine. But no, grapes.
Grapes is the
Grapes is
go-to.
going to be for sure. So with the cork, if you stand it upright, it dries out. If it
Okay.
dries out, too much oxygen get into the spoils. So you leave it on its side so that the wine coming in contact with the cork doesn't dry out.
Okay.
So it allows it to age.
They're trying to think here in regard to the wine as well. Well, do you know off the top of your head maybe like the most expensive wine in the world? And then I got another wine question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. Napa Valley, Screaming Eagle is one.
Yeah.
It's about $4,000 at release
For a bottle?
for a bottle of wine.
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
At release means like 2018 vintage comes out, right?
Yeah.
DRC, Domaine Romanée-Conti, out of Burgundy, France, is really sought after bottle, about $4,000 or $5,000. The vines are 250 years old.
So are these like gifts that the big guys at home office, you
Not
guys
yet.
be doing
Nah,
these?
That'd be a pretty good gift. So those are probably some of the more expensive bottles of wine. There's some stuff in Bordeaux as well, but what makes it really expensive is you start to get into a good vintage year, right? So the weather was really good. So you get a really great winery plus a good vintage year, plus it's a little bit older and people like drinking wine with some age on it.
Is there ever too old? Is it ever like, that's too old?
Yeah, I mean, it'll spoil eventually if it's not good, but a well-made wine can stick around for 40, 50 years.
Are you ever like,
more.
I want to let this one sit for, like, is it like, let me get this 2-year-old wine, or it's like the 4-year-old's going to taste way better?
Yeah, so it's a layered world, so you got to just know, like, if I'm drinking out of a certain region, like I know a Brunello del Montalcino needs 10 years before I touch it. But a Napa Cabernet could be good in 2 to 3 years. So it just depends on the type of wine, how it's made. Is one more sugar? If it's got more sugar in it and less like acidity and tannin, it's going to be ready to drink at a younger age. If it's got more, you ever like imagine having like mothballs in your mouth, that drying sensation?
Yeah.
That's what tannin does for you. So it like dries out your mouth. It's not fun, right? And too much acidity, imagine biting into like a lemon.
Yep.
It's too astringent.
Yep.
So wines with that need a little bit more time for those things to kind of soften out. So you just got to kind of know.
Yeah.
This is why you either, you go to a restaurant, you talk to the sommelier, or people like me.
Yeah, like you.
Yeah. So.
Now, have you ever made your own wine?
No, that's a whole nother level of
I swear I saw a video of like Rick.
I did a little bit of homemade. Now, Rick owns a winery in Italy, believe it or not.
Okay, I thought he was making some. I thought I saw some video or saw something of him like making some at his house.
A real winery in Italy with a legitimate winemaker, and their wine is really good.
Now, do they get it imported?
Yeah. It's
Is that
really
like
good?
Hey, just UPS that over? I wonder what that process is like.
Well, yeah, you ship it.
Yeah.
Shipping costs and stuff. So yeah, but they do wine and they do their own olive oil.
So, oh wow.
Yeah.
Those are both. So, are they named? Is it like Altig Wine? Like what is?
It is called. I'm gonna forget. It's called what their estate is, but the name's escaping me. But yeah, it's good.
Miracle of Renewals.
Miracle. No, it's more Italian traditional. So.
Well, I'm saying to set up your own winery in Italy, Miracle of Renewals.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come to our company. You can start your own winery.
You can start your own winery.
Thing.
I could see Simon do. He's really into wine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They go to Napa. Have you guys gone to Napa together?
No, we will link up. He texts me from time to time the wine list. Where would you go with this?
Yeah.
So I've been, a lot of the SG.
Are you the go-to now in the does anybody know more than you when it comes to wine?
David's often knows a lot about wine too.
For real?
Yeah, man. He's smart with everything, but
yeah,
he knows a lot about wine for sure. He's really good with the Napa stuff. I'm good for more international, the whole kind of gamut. But yeah, you can join the group. You're doing enough production, and what that means is it's part of the service.
Yeah.
If you're out and you need to get a good wine, you send me a picture of the menu, and I'll tell you what to order. So I do that for Simon. I do it for gigs. I do it for a decent amount of.
There's
people.
A wine testing. I should have booked us for there tonight, but they've got in the restaurant. It's like a wine bar, and they do wine tastings and things. It's all right, but I signed up for it because I know Simon's staff. They, Nat D and Katie McCabe, they love wine.
Yeah.
So I'll just go in and like pick the coolest looking bottle and say, that one looks cool, and send it there.
I've been trying to work with the SJs. Everyone drinks Camus, right? And Camus is good, but it's kind of they kind of add some stuff to it to make the sugar content high and the whole deal. So I've been trying to mentor some people on. Yeah. There's other stuff out there than just Camus. Same price point.
I think I hear that often.
Better stuff. So
my mom likes red wine. She loves wine. I have her on a box wine subscription. Nice. Like it sends like a box of different bottles. Yeah. And so I'll do that probably like once a quarter or so. Nice. And just send her a box of wine. Make up for my absence.
At your age, I had no interest. I had no clue.
No clue. So, and
you're way further ahead than me.
And I've got a very bad sweet tooth, so when I drink, I hate alcohol because it's so tart. Yeah. So I'm like, this is gross. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I think it's Merlot or something. I don't know what it is. Something really sweet that I like. It's like a clear, sugary. I'll ask him tonight at Capitol. Okay. Because I've only had it like probably 2 or 3 times. Because if people like demand that some people, you know what I mean, is in the professional realm that we're in, they don't feel comfortable if you don't have a drink. And then then they see the drink I'll get a strawberry daiquiri or I'll get and they're like, we're definitely not doing this business deal.
That's funny. Yeah. You got to start somewhere. Yeah. Right? And a lot of people start into wine with something sweeter.
It took me a while to adjust to cigars because I smoked acids for a while. Yeah. And I stuck with acids, and then I was able to kind of adjust to horrible with names and lyrics and just different things like that. But I know I got some Cubans downstairs, but there's a different type of cigar that I'll consistently smoke now, and it's more of a mild, but my palate, they say like your palate adjusts with cigars as well. And
I gotta be honest, you won't tell anyone this. I still smoke a mild wrapper cigar, so I haven't evolved yet with the cigar game. So
I've had to. I mean, especially the cigar lounge I go to is pretty union.
Okay.
Oh, so it's blue collar,
Nice.
like hardcore guys that are like, you know what I mean? And we all talk, union shit to one another.
Yeah.
So it's really actually a good experience, real laid back and everything like that. I might start signing groups out of there. I don't know if I'm allowed. Favorite food? Gonna lean on like Italian.
Cacio e pepe.
What is that?
Cheese and pepper is what it means in Italian. So it's a Roman pasta.
Okay,
basically.
that
So
sounds phenomenal. Where
so
do
good.
you like this from? Because it sounds
My
like
kitchen. Yeah.
you can make
I
this.
can do the homemade pasta. I can do the whole thing.
And I'm so curious. Did you force your wife to like wine, or did she like wine?
No, she liked wine.
She liked wine? 'Cause
for
I'm like,
sure.
dude,
I
this
feel
dude
like
was-
she liked it more than me.
So this is something you guys
Before.
can really connect
Yeah,
on.
because I used to just sip on some, whiskey or whatever,
Yeah.
beers, and yeah, I feel like she liked it before me, and now I more or less am into the knowledge of it, even more so than even drinking it.
Yep.
But yeah, we enjoy it with a good meal. But
Now, are you desserts and sugar at all, or nah?
oh yeah, I'll do some.
What's your
desserts.
favorite?
Gosh, great question. Probably I gotta go with cheesecake, New York cheesecake.
That's good.
Just old school.
That's good.
Good cannolis
Yeah.
are really good.
So my best friend growing up was Italian. Like I think his
Okay.
dad was first generation. I worked
Okay.
at the restaurant, helped do dough, helped do meatballs. That was the worst. You know what I mean? So they had cannolis though, and like
so good.
his mom baked everything. Like every day she was baking cake. She did everything for like the neighborhood and everything. Like
Yeah.
phenomenal, dude. They had the best food. I went back for Christmas and I went over to his house and had a huge plate of food. They have everything. You know what I mean? It's like you can't beat it.
My number one though, and here's the only caveat is you got to be in Italy, is the gelato in Italy.
Oh, that sounds phenomenal.
It's phenomenal. It's so good. Anywhere you go, it's pistachio gelato.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some just wild stuff there. It's so good.
Now I know you said you don't watch any TV, but do you like any movies? Do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Yeah, I mean,
For
I
me,
will
that's
watch
my favorite thing. I love movies.
Yeah, I will watch movies. I'm trying to think of favorites of all time. Man,
I have a list.
Braveheart.
Braveheart's phenomenal.
Braveheart's so good. Man on Fire.
What's that?
Denzel Washington. That's a great.
I love
movie.
Denzel Washington
Oh,
movies.
Phenomenal movie.
I have to write this down.
Trying to think what else. Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You gotta love Wolf of Wall Street.
Got to.
DiCaprio. Other favorites. Last Samurai is a great movie.
That's a good movie.
I love that movie. Saving Private Ryan. That's a good movie. Trying to think of any newer ones that really were good. Those are probably my tops. Any newer ones you like?
I love Marvel, so I like all the Marvel movies. There's a new movie, newer in the last few years. I'm real big on the war movies. I take clips from there, put it into the groups and things like that. There's something about music and motivation, but there's another thing when somebody can like kind of relate to and embody like a moment in a movie, and it just kind of helps stir the group. And it's King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And so I really like that movie. Troy. That's one of my top ones.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, that's one of my top movies
for sure.
But yeah, and then the next thing I wanted to ask as we wrap up here is what was the first book that really smacked you? You know what I mean? Mine was The
21 Laws
Secret.
of Leadership.
21 Laws of Irrefutable Leadership?
Yep.
Love
21 Laws. That's right when we came into Stray Smith. Marcus was on a big push with that book. And that's really, that just did it for me. Law of the Lid.
Law of the Lid.
It was like, that was it. Okay,
Yep.
This is a lid. This is not a microwave I'm in. You know, this is not this is a slow crock pot type of leadership. Leadership is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
And that book just really helped me out.
Yep.
I try to read it every single
year.
reread it every single year when I can. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that. I've gone through it a few times too. So that was your favorite book. The other thing I wanted to hit was, how did you and your wife meet?
So she's a personal recruit.
For real?
So My brother
Yeah.
married a lady that went to college with him.
Yeah.
She was in a sorority,
Yeah.
and her little, they do littles
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the sorority, was my wife.
Yeah.
So we met through them.
Yeah.
Years, funny story. We met through them. When I met her the first time, I was going to meet with my brother, and he's at a wedding in downtown Cleveland. He had a hotel room. He said, hey, go to the hotel room. So I invited a couple of my buddies. They're working with American Income and my cousins. And we ended up having too good of a time and getting my brother kicked out of his hotel room.
Yeah.
I didn't tell my brother this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we go out in the town for the night. I meet my brother, my sister-in-law, and then my now wife.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we go back to the hotel room to all crash. And their security guard meets us in the lobby and says, what are you doing back here? My brother says, what do you mean I have a room here? He says, not anymore. You're kicked out. You guys are having a party. My brother's like, do you care to enlighten me? So I had to go into sales skills 101, and I went into negotiations with this guy to say, hey, it wasn't them. Let them stay. Let me. I'll leave. And so I was escorted out of the lobby of this hotel by security. This is before the days of Uber.
Yeah.
This is before the days of taxis. So we're downtown Cleveland. We had to sleep on an RTA stop. That was the first time I met my wife. So it took me about 4 years after that to get the courage to actually ask her out on a date after that initial embarrassment.
Wow. That's
so,
hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, this was, hour or so in?
Yeah, an hour 10.
Hour 10 of good fire information.
Thanks for having me on.
Good story. Anything else you want to go over, tips or things you feel like you want to add in there?
You asked about wine, right?
Yes.
One of the things I love about wine is it's parallel to business.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is when you really look in what it takes to make really good wine. Do you ever looked at this at all?
Not really.
So what happens is wine is made in places with soil that doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it.
Yeah.
It's also made in places that doesn't rain a lot.
Yep.
Because that would actually make the grapes not good. And what happens is they grow vines in places where there's not a lot of nutrients in the soil. And the vines have to go dig deep down 30 feet or more in order to steal the nutrients that they need to make a good to make a good grape. And the older the vine, the more nutrients it is and the higher quality the grape's going to be. So I told you about that wine that's $4,000 a bottle.
Yeah.
At release. It's because the vines are 250 years old.
Wow.
And the family, they have each vine named. They know names of them. They're like their own pets. So the parallel to business is, listen, if you start a business, right, and you think that this is going to be easy, or you're going to get this year one, or you don't have to struggle a lot, then you're never going to produce anything good at the end. The vines have to struggle to produce great grapes.
Yeah.
And humans, you have to struggle to produce a great career and great results. So I always loved how that kind of parallel, and it's always a reminder to me
that's crazy.
No struggle. No, I always think of Boone's Farm. You ever have Boone's Farm?
No.
Super cheap, crappy wine, right?
Yeah.
Easily made, probably a lot of, it's like, listen, you want to be Boone's Farm, then don't plan on struggling.
Yeah.
Don't plan on really giving a lot of effort and expect an overnight success. But
Yeah.
if you want to create great wine, right, or great careers, you got to plan on struggling. You got to plan on digging your roots down before you start making, the best of the best. And I think in our society, too many people, they'll give up too quickly.
Absolutely.
Right? Or they'll check out too quickly. They'll mentally say, maybe this isn't for me. And it's like, no, this person's been growing their vines for 10 years.
Yeah.
They've been doing this for 10 years. Don't compare your chapter to theirs. So that'd probably be the last thing I'd say.
Fire. Well, a lot of fire here. Anything you want to shout out, advertise, or get out to the company for the individuals that will listen?
Yeah, 2021, another record year. We're just blessed. We talked about growth is fun. Just fun to grow. 2020 hit, 2019's a record year. 2020 hits, all of a sudden pandemic shuts us down. We're like, what do we do?
Yep.
Home office did an unbelievable job transitioning everyone to virtual sales and virtual recruiting. Record-setting year in 2020, right? 2021, again, presented a lot of challenges for businesses, right? Even staffing, right?
Yep.
Again, we had a record year in 2021, and we're looking forward to another record year in 2022. So my shout-out would be to the 10,000 agents and managers just saying, thank you for everything you do on a daily basis to make our company what it is and to keep our company breaking records and allowing us to do what it is we do. So,
does the company know about that personal recruiting thing that they're going to be launching?
Oh, yeah. So that's actually underway. We just approved some of the final artwork on it.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so the Pinnacle Recruiting Club. So one of my other favorite books, John Maxwell, 5 Levels of Leadership.
Yep.
Level 5 leaders, the Pinnacle, which is a leader who develops other leaders, right? And what we noticed was, as we were creating this program to incentivize personal recruiting, is we looked at all the level 5 leaders in our company. Steve Greer, right? Dave Zoffin, Simon Arias, Rick Altig, Jim Serace, Marcus Smith. And we noticed was, hey, these, not only are they great leaders, but they also recruited a lot of the great leaders into the organization, right?
Yeah.
So what we understood is, hey, if you're never going to reach pinnacle level, which only about 1% of leaders ever reach the pinnacle level, but you're not going to reach that level with our company unless you're a member of the Pinnacle Club. So that's why we called it the Pinnacle Club. The idea here is we understand people want to be recognized, incentivized, and rewarded, right? So it's a whole program where for personal recruits, not only does the bonus still in play that they get, but now in addition, additional incentives, additional rewards, additional prizes, additional member benefits are included now. So imagine getting
crazy
to convention.
Stuff. Yeah.
You get to convention, you got to jump on, I call it the Gen Pop bus, which is fine, but you get a private transfer.
Yeah.
A little bit cooler. You get a room
private transfers are really weird.
You go to a convention, you got an in-room gift. You got a bottle of champagne, some stuff. You got to imagine you're a new guy.
Dude, the first time I saw somebody holding my name, I was like, am I getting arrested?
Right.
Coming in the airport and seeing some driver, I'm like, what? And that's home. I think that was probably home office. It was either home office or with Simon, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. So we, rewards on there. I mean, we're doing Rolexes.
I know. I heard about some Rolexes, dude.
You gotta have a Rollie.
Gotta have a Rollie.
You can earn a Rolex with the program. So we're super excited about it. We've been talking about it a little bit. We're waiting until the final artwork's done, which is about to be finished up for the launch. People are excited. And the good news is, any of the personal recruiting that happened in 2021 that's happening right now is going to be credited towards that program for people too. So that's exciting as well. So
phenomenal.
Yeah, no reason to wait for it to be announced.
No reason to wait to go get your dreams.
Go get it.
Let's go. Well, I appreciate you, Mr. Libassi. Blessings. So thank you, A-Dog. I think it's a wrap, man.